All right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show with a little 49er video. As today we do a deep dive on Connor Colby, who might be the starter for the Niners this year at left guard. We'll talk more about that in just a second. But first, we're brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out. They're in Corte Madera. They're in Emeryville. They're open 7 days a week, from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. And they do run out. So get there early, get some brisket chili. Tell them the Krug sent you. We're also brought to you by Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles. They're at 205 Cypress Avenue in Pacific Grove, California, right along the Monterey Peninsula. Give Anthony Catania a call. He's at 831-521-5264. And he's a great follow on Instagram at Sharp Corners 831 on Instagram. We're also brought to you by Claudaddy Arcades. More from them in just a second. But let's talk a little bit about one of the stories of the week with 49er training camp getting ready to open. Niners put some players on the PUP and the NFI list. The PUP, the physically unable to perform list, and then the NFI list is the non-football injury list. And one of the guys on the non-football injury list is Ben Barch. And Ben Barch was supposed to step in for the 49ers and be their starting left guard. Aaron Banks moved on in free agency. He went to Green Bay, and that opened up the left guard spot. And there was a lot of talk that Barch was going to get that starting job. He's had a hard time staying healthy throughout his career, so there were a lot of people who were kind of skeptical whether Ben Barch would be able to commandeer that starting job. But he is on the NFI list to start training camp, and who knows who's going to start at left guard. He's slated to be the starter. Could be Spencer Burford, but the Niners have expressed that they want to play Burford at tackle this year, not at guard. It could be Matt Hennessy, but Hennessy, I think, is the backup at center and is probably going to play inside at center. So who else is left? I mean, you have Nick Zakel, but he's, slated to be the backup at right guard. You have Connor Colby. You have Zach Johnson. You have Drew Moss. But I want to focus today on Connor Colby. He was the Niners' 7th-round pick out of Iowa in this last draft, and I really like this player. I think this was a great pick. First of all, Colby played at Iowa. He went to the Niners with pick number 249 in the 7th round of April's draft. He's 6'6", 309 pounds, 10-inch hands. Shorter than desired arm length, right? He's got 32-inch arms, which is only 7th percentile for arm length. But he's a tall athlete. He's a good athlete. He was a really good zone run blocker and just a real mauler in the run game. He's got great quickness in the run game. He excels on the move. He's a good competitor. He's tough. He's smart. He's assignment sound. This guy's a really interesting player. He's from Cedar Rapids, Iowa. He was a 4-star high school recruit, and as I said, he's 6'6", 309. He ran a 40 in 5.11, which is good movement skills. He also had a 1.78 10-yard split, which was also a good number. He's not a perfect player, which is why he went in the 7th round. He's not great. His contact balance could be better. As I said, he's got kind of middling arm length. He definitely loses power when he plays a little too upright. He's 6'6", 309. He's a tall offensive lineman. At times, he'll play upright and lose some power. What I love about him, though, is that this guy was a 4-year starter, made 50 career starts at Iowa. That tells me an awful lot. One, he was coached there by the veteran offensive line coach, George Barnett. Barnett's been coaching offensive line play for 20, 25 years. He's one of the best in the biz. So this is a really, really well-coached player, and he was a 4-year starter. And when you make, 54 career games, 50 career starts at Iowa, despite being a fairly young player when he started there, it just tells you all you need to know. He's durable. He's dependable. 42 starts at right guard. 6, I believe, at right tackle. But they moved him around. He moved to guard and tackle. He's played all over, both sides. First team All Big Ten as a senior. Played inside in Iowa's run heavy scheme. They have a heavy zone based run scheme, and they were a ridiculous run team this year. When I say ridiculous, I mean They ran the ball 66% of the time. That's right, 66% run, 34% pass. So he definitely is not a perfect player. He needs work on his pass protection. He does have some good things to build on in pass pro. He's got a nice wide base. He's got real heavy hands. But that's really, he needs to work on his pass protection. He's excellent at pulling on the run, and identifying and being able to pick off athletes on the fly. He can climb to that second level. This guy was, thrown into the fire as a freshman, and he was a freshman All-American. So really good player, really his entire career at Iowa. And just a very, very solid, dependable guy. Now, I asked Chris Forster about him a couple weeks ago. Here's what Forster had to say, his early impressions of Connor Colby. Here's Chris Forster, 49ers offensive line coach.
Chris, on the field the other day, it seemed like you were in the ear of Connor Colby, sounding him out pretty good. That usually is an indication that you like the guy, and that you're coaching him hard. Am I reading that right?
Yeah, Connor, it was Austin Pleasant. Yeah, the two of them. I said, okay, I think you guys have a chance to play. So now the gloves are off, because now we're going to find out, because you need to feel the pressure now. So when you get in the game, it's not quite, I need to find out if you can handle it. We were just talking about it. It's not when you succeed, it's when you fail. So we find out about a guy. So they're going to get it pretty good until they get it right. We'll see how they do.
What do you think of him so far?
I like him. Connor's a good player.
And what do you think of Iowa's coaching? And is Iowa?
Iowa's awesome.
Coaching up well?
They do a great job. They run the wide zone scheme excellent. They do a great job of running their scheme, the run game, protection-wise. He's a very well-coached player. It's really hard, though, because the Iowa kids are some of the better coached players in college football. So when you get them and they come in, you're like, these guys are well-coached, man. These guys can do it. So now you're sitting in a position where you're saying, is it just the coaching or is it the player? And you have to dig deeper into the numbers, dig deeper into the individual blocks and see, because you can get swayed a little much by these guys and how well they play at Iowa, because they just do it over, and it looks like us. I mean, whatever, we look like them, however you want to say it. They do it a really good job of this. You're like, you can fall in love with these kids, and then you get them, and they're like, they're not quite, because you bought into their system.
Interesting stuff there from Chris Kocurek, but he's clearly a fan of Connor Colby. And, Iowa's produced some really good offensive linemen through the years. You think of Robert Gallery was a very high pick. The Pleasanton's own Robert Gallery. Brandon Scherf has been one of the NFL's better guards. Iowa guy. Tristan Wirfs. You might argue that Tristan Wirfs is on the verge of making Trent Williams the second best offensive tackle in pro football today. And Wirfs was another guy at Iowa. So they really do coach it well at Iowa. He played his most consistent football, if you talk about Colby, his most consistent football came in 2024. He's just a real mauler in the run game. He's a tone setter. He gets on that second level. He did an incredible job blocking for Caleb Johnson and getting to that second level. So a lot of people thought he was going to go in the 5th round of the draft, and he fell to the 7th round. And the people that really have studied Connor Colby, love his grit. The kid he's a gritty, tough offensive lineman. And he got it done at Iowa. And it's not easy to run block at Iowa because their offensive passing attack is so limited. So this guy's got tremendous grit. And it's funny, one of the guys that I saw who did an interview, who knows him, said, man, all this guy does is hunt and fish and play football. He's built, he's got violent hands. He's a guy that needs to improve his pass protection, but he's got real good qualities. He's very mobile. He's very smart. He's assignment sound. He's experienced, and he plays with violent hands. There's no question he needs to improve his pass protection. He needs to improve his lower body play strength. But, man, this guy has really done it. He's played over 2,800 career snaps at Iowa. And if you think of at Iowa, was a top 25 team as far as the nation was concerned, as far as rushing. So, they averaged over 5 yards a carry with Caleb Johnson this year. And they did it despite Iowa was 122nd in passing yards in 2024. So what does that mean? That means that when they were going to run the ball, Caleb Johnson and the Iowa offensive line was staring right at loaded boxes with pretty consistently. A lot of consistency there. They were getting a lot of loaded boxes because nobody respected their passing game. They had no passing game to speak of. They had Caleb Johnson, a future NFL runner, and one of the maybe the conference's best offensive line. So they were top 25 rushing team in the country, averaging over 5 yards a pop, and they did it against consistent, defenses that had loaded the box to take away the run because they were 122nd in passing yards. So to me, this guy has really done it. I think he's very, very impressive. I think he's the kind of player that might be able to step in right away and perform. He's obviously a very well-coached player at Iowa, but you're also talking about a guy with tremendous grit. And he's a real, power. He's a powerful run blocker. He knows how to use his position to wall off defensive linemen, and he's just very, very well coached football player. So I think it's gonna be really interesting to see exactly, who gets the start for the 49ers at left guard. Ben Bartch is due to start, but he hasn't played more than I think 5 NFL games in a row without suffering an injury. Burford's there, but they're talking about playing him at left guard. So really, it could come down to Connor Colby, Drew Moss, Nick Zakel, and Zach Johnson. And when you see that Colby played 4 years and 50 career starts at Iowa and was really well coached by one of college football's better offensive line coaches, and you see just how assignment sound he is and how smart he is and how competitive he is, there's a lot of reasons. There's a lot of reasons to like Connor Colby. He's excellent at pulling. He's great at climbing to that second level. He's very, very smart player, very coachable player. Stepped in as a freshman and was a freshman All-American. That was great to see. Had an 81.3 zone blocking run grade according to PFF. So, you look at this player and you say, well, everybody always looks at what a guy can't do. But this guy was 79th percentile in 40-yard dash, good mover. 84th percentile in broad jump, good lower body explosion. 71st percentile in 20-yard shuttle. So, he's got a lot of experience, in a very, very, very well coached, very experienced, really good run blocker. A guy who is played a lot of football, first team All Big Ten, his final year there. Played really, really well in Iowa's, run-heavy system. They ran the ball. And they ran it a ton. And everybody knew if you're going to beat Iowa, you got to stop the run. They were 66% run. So he definitely needs work on his pass protection. He definitely needs some work on a number of aspects of his game. But we're talking about a good competitor, excels on the move, good zone blocker, mauler in the run game, tough, quick, productive. Watch for Connor Colby to potentially steal the left guard spot away from those other contenders. And I think there's a very good chance that the rookie from Iowa winds up starting for the 49ers at left guard. All right, thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krueger Show. Once again, thanks to Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles. And as you see on the top corner of the screen, that's the logo for Claw Daddy Arcades. And basically, I'm a big fan of Claw Daddy Arcades. They're a great follow on Instagram at Claw_Daddy_Arcades to find an arcade location near you. And when you stop by, tell them that Krug sent you. They got a brand new location opening in Capitola Mall later on this year, and another location opening down in the Central Valley inside Visalia Mall. So Claw Daddy Arcades, once again, a great follow on Instagram at Claw_Daddy_Arcades to find a location near you. And thanks to all you guys for supporting The Krug Show on YouTube.